This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Southern Magnolia Smiles, a locally owned and operated dental office right here on Washington Avenue in Ocean Springs. Dr. Robbie Williams and his friendly staff have a number of different customizable treatment options and provide a comfortable environment just for you.
Check them out at their website, southernmagnoliasmiles.com, or find them on Facebook and Instagram. Now let's jump into the episode.
What's up, everybody? It's the Brownwater Banter Podcast. I am Jared Seymour, and I am here today with Corey Christy from the Maritime and Seafood Industry Museum, right over here on the point in Biloxi. Yeah, I got it. I was nervous about that. Nailed it. What's up, man? How you doing today?
I'm great, man. Glad to be here and tell you all about what we got going on.
Yeah. This is one of those ones that we kicked around, been trying to do for a little while, and finally we're able to like nail it down today. So, and if we're talking a little bit fast, that's because we're on this OG drip from the Jacked Up Coffee Bar right here on Howard Avenue. Shameless plug. This stuff's really good.
It's the good stuff.
Let's jump right into it, man. What kind of stuff do y'all first let's break it down like this. Like let's talk about you for a second and your background. You just had a really cool feature in a local magazine here that was describing like your love for the Gulf Coast, like your story and everything. And I got to be honest, I was a little jealous. I was like, you out Biloxi'd me like by a lot. So tell everybody that's listening like your background.
Well, I grew up here in Biloxi mostly. My family's from DeLille.
Okay.
So that's just right down the street. But my mom defected, I guess, just right down the street here. And grew up mostly on the west side of Biloxi, Pops Ferry over in that area. Graduated from Biloxi High in 97. Go ahead and date myself there.
I'm only 4 years behind you. 01, baby. And I'm north side of the bay. I wouldn't say Martin. So,
all right. So not too far away.
No.
But yeah, I did that, went to Southern Miss, moved away, which I never really wanted to do, but got to go to grad school for free in the St. Louis area there at Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville.
Okay.
So that's right on the river there. So I actually lived in St. Louis while I was doing that, but just really want to always come back. Got caught up, with work and various things. And finally, about 6 years ago, I made my way back. And it was a good time. When I moved back, the museum wasn't even built yet.
Yeah. What year was that when you moved back?
I moved back in 2013.
Okay.
And they got completed in 2014. So that wasn't there. The baseball stadium wasn't there. White pillars, White House, all that stuff was still under construction.
Yeah.
And that stuff was all being talked about when I left.
Yeah, it did. It took a while. And I remember with the White House Hotel, they didn't, I think for a while, they didn't even know if that was going to happen, right? They were talking about bulldozing it or demolishing it or whatever. Yeah. And now it's this beautiful attraction right out here on Highway 90.
Yeah, it's great. And it's, and coming back, I felt the energy, and I think what really kind of cemented me wanting to finally make the move and come home. I came down and saw the Rue Magnolia and just the activity down there. A lot of that's changed since in the last 6 years, but there's just a couple cool little art galleries, and it was all new and good looking. And I was like, man, there's some activity. I would love to come be a part of this. And art's kind of always been my lane.
With playing music.
With the music and doing different things. So I saw that and I was like, I can come help, I think. So I found my way back, literally just left my job, moved home with no job.
No plan?
Nothing at all.
Oh, that's a ballsy move, sir.
Moved in with my mom for a couple of months and found a job, and here we are.
Yeah. Did you go straight into the museum, or did you jump around before you made it there?
I was at the Walter Anderson Museum first. So I got a job there, which I was there for 5 years, I guess, and then hopped over here. And mainly, I really did enjoy that job, but I really want to be a part of Biloxi. And the Maritime is just the bedrock. It's all the history, all the information. What better way to come over here and be involved and be the steward of that information? Yeah.
We were, one of the previous episodes, we talked about an old video that's out there. I think it's from like the 1960s or whatever. And it calls, it's on YouTube. You can look it up. It calls Biloxi the Riviera, the Hidden Riviera or something like that from back in the day, and how we used to be the seafood capital of the world as well. So Maritime is huge around here.
Yeah, and we talk about all that. Kind of getting our start with tourism, people coming over from New Orleans to get away from the city.
Yeah.
Early in the 1900s, 1800s, and then late 1800s becoming the seafood capital of the world. Oddly, things like ice and trains, making us, those things come together at the right time, and boom, it put us on the map.
You mentioned that about the ice. Their University of Southern Mississippi did some kind of oral history project or something, and I have a copy of it. It's my great grandfather talking about when all the family, they named everything by the families who lived here really back then at that time, and talking about the first time they got ice. Like he knew the store
Yeah.
that had ice for the first time. I mean,
Yeah.
something that you get for $2 a bag for 20 pounds of it now, just anywhere you go. Like that was a huge deal for them back then.
Yeah, it was huge. It allowed them to get that seafood out.
Right.
You know, we got plenty of that. So
Yeah.
how do we get it to people?
And people that have been, you know, that are from here, lived here for a while, all of Highway 90 prior to the casinos were seafood factories
Yeah.
or restaurants. You know,
and I
mainly.
remember that. You know,
Yeah,
growing
I
up here.
vaguely remember some of it too, and that's why I like to see those old photos. But you know, it's changed just a little bit since then.
So starting high school in '94, there were still some strong remnants of that here, especially on the point. And I remember going to school one morning and the Treasure Bay is there with that big pirate ship. It's like, where in the world did that come from? You
Yeah,
know?
I also remember in '05 seeing it on the wrong side of the
Yeah.
Highway 92. So, but yeah, so you join in with the Seafood Museum, and that thing, you can't drive over the Ocean Springs Biloxi Bridge and not notice it. It's beautiful.
Yes, it is a gorgeous way. It's a great entrance into the city, especially if you're coming over that Ocean Springs Bridge. We have some oak trees out there that are starting to get pretty big, but it's like a giant real life ship in the bottle, just right there,
it
larger
is.
than life.
Kind of overlooking the bay there. You know, I mean, it's a little bit turned, but you know, it's facing the what is that, the east end of Deer Island ish.
Ish, yeah, you can kind of see that, but you have a
Yeah.
great view of the bay and the Gulf Hills, you know, over in Ocean Springs. And when I give tours, I actually usually stop on the second floor there as I'm talking about the Nydia, our prize exhibit there, and have people look out over the bay and kind of do that panoramic view all the way to the sound.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
So, you know, somebody that's never been to the museum, to explain it to them, I mean, you kind of touched on it. Does it start out with the history of the city of Biloxi? Like you were saying, like people coming over. This used to be a vacation spot, like you mentioned, for people from leaving New Orleans, right?
Yeah, so I'll just give a quick floor by floor run through.
Yeah, we can do that.
So the first thing is that we have on the first floor is the lighthouse lens from Ship Island. So you start off with that, a great old piece of history. It was actually in the original museum that got taken down at Katrina.
Okay.
So it's one of the few pieces that survived that. And then we start with the history. So it goes all the way from D'Iberville Landing on Ship Island up through kind of modern times, like the 60s there on that little timeline.
Right.
So it talks about becoming the seafood capital of the world, the tourism, rail coming, the downfall of oysters, and like all through all of that stuff. And then on the second floor, we have our boats. So that's where we have the Nydia, the big 30-foot sailboat.
Okay.
We have a few other examples of wooden boats there, a cross-section of a schooner, which is really cool to see how that goes together. And you can see some of the things that make Biloxi boats unique, which I think is cool. And one of my favorite parts of the tour, talking about what it took to make a boat, a Biloxi boat. We have a great video about the history of the industry, just a bunch of old timers, and they're talking about, you know, their experience. And, you know, those folks are all kind of going away now.
Yeah,
you know, they're dying off, and so to have that on video is great. And it's people that, you know, some of the families I grew up around, and some people names I recognize and people I recognize. It's interesting to see that and hear them tell their stories. And then one of the big draws, the shrimp peeling machine, which you know, of course, revolutionized things because it took literally kids out of put kids out of jobs, which I don't think they were mad about.
Yeah, maybe they need to send them back these days.
Yeah, right. To get the work ethic going.
Get them some discipline.
And then on the third floor, we have what is my favorite part, the seafood industry exhibit, because that's where we talk about the kids in the industry and the ice and how you know, people were getting paid in wooden nickels and how that affected counterfeit and just all these things you don't know about Biloxi. That
I don't. Yeah, I'm
are right there. And I love getting people up there and telling them about, you know, these photographs were used in national cases to get child labor laws stricken down. And we have the cans that the seafood would have been shipped in, which, can you imagine that now?
No.
I'm going to buy fresh seafood in cans.
In a can, yeah.
And then we have our art exhibit up there. So we have a gallery named after Joe Moran, who was the grandson of George Orr.
Okay.
So it's interesting connections here. So obviously the Orr Museum is right down the street, but Moran was a boat builder.
Okay.
And so he injured himself building a boat, and as part of his therapy, started painting. Was great at it. Ended up having his work shown in the Smithsonian, and you know, we have 2 huge of his pieces there, and the story. We tell the story there. So we named the gallery after him. We do local art in there. And that changes out about every 3 months. So that's something to stop by and see, a reason to come, you know, every now and then. And then we have our hurricane gallery where we just talk about Katrina, all the different storms through the years.
Yeah.
Very cool. The hurricane hunters are based here. We talk about that. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Mm-hmm.
And we just finished our 50 years of Camille exhibition. This year was the 50-year anniversary, or last year. We're in 2020 now. But that was great. We did that for 6 months. Thousands of people came through to see that. We did speakers on Fridays that people experienced the storm, came through and tell their story. And we did some very cool interactive exhibitions where you talk about the oral history. So we had oral histories that were recorded by the library, and you'd pick up a phone.
Yeah.
And you'd hear the story. And every time you hung it up and picked it up, it was a new story.
Okay.
People's survival story after the storm. And the phones were recreation of the phone banks that were around town. It was the only way people could communicate. There were no cell phones back then.
Yeah, listen up, kids. No cell phones.
Yeah, so you had to go wait in line for hours at a time, use a rotary phone. And so we were able to recreate that and make it a really cool interactive piece.
That's awesome, man. What do you think it's mainly like when you give these tours and stuff? It may be hard to tell, but is it mainly locals? Or is it like out of town people come in to to the museum? People that are at the casinos and stuff. Like, is it part of a tour package, or do you think it's mainly local folks?
We get a lot of out of town people.
Okay.
For our events and things like that, the locals really do support it.
Right.
But day to day, the amount of out of town people we get is really amazing. And my first interaction with the museum was playing with Blackwater at their New Year's party and just taking breaks and talking to the people. I mean, there are people from South Carolina at these things, Georgia, Ohio, I was just blown away by the reach.
Blackwater Brass is the band that he played in, in case you didn't know. So go check them out because they're bad.
They are bad. I'm not with them anymore, but they're great. So, yeah, I mean, we get great support, and I think the casinos are a big part of that. The tourism people, Coastal Mississippi, do a great job of working with us. We do lots of bus tours through this time of year. Actually, it's about to kick up. Yeah. And those people are from all over. It's great when we have this group of this one company brings these Midwestern groups in. And so I lived in Midwest for a little while, so I'm very familiar. Yeah. But we feed them, and we can't get the shrimp bland enough.
Oh, are you serious? They're like complaining?
Yes. Oh. And they put ranch dressing on the potatoes, and like it's fun.
I can deal with the ranch on a potato, but to bland out the shrimp, I can't stomach that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
We put French dressing on pizza down here, so we're weird.
That's weird, but I like it.
It is good. It's very good. So you already kind of leaned into it a little bit. It's not just y'all don't. It's a museum, and we need to go check that out for sure. But y'all also do a lot of events here for the people, right?
Yes, we do events all through the year. So the small ones, we do some art openings. We just had art opening for Charlie Taylor. He's a local photographer. He's won several awards, but he did a series of photos of the birds on Back Bay feeding at one of the factories. So it's very Biloxi specific, but very cool.
That is cool.
Just amazing photographs, mostly printed on metal. So that's a good thing to stop by and see. So we just had an opening for him. We do our wooden boat show in May, and that's huge. It's all 2 days over the weekend at our schooner pier. People from all over the region, again, great support from outside of the state, bring their boats to show off these beautiful wooden boats. We have kids' activities and vendors and things like that. We serve seafood all weekend. Mm-hmm. And then we have our drawdown. That's our biggest event of the year. Let's see, I want to say sold 550 tickets this year.
Wow.
Something like that. And that's 2 person per ticket. So it's very well received. It's a $10,000 drawdown, so you can win some money.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And always with our events, again, in my first interaction, being there, one of the things that stood out is it really does feel like family. That crew there, Robin Davids, the director, she's been there for 30 plus years, I think 35 years.
Wow.
And they just go out of the way to make people feel welcome.
It's a Southern thing.
Yeah, it's a Southern thing. But I tell you, through all my experience of, with the band, working with these different places, and it's different. It's a different feeling. It is just very, very friendly, and people come and they feel free to hang out. And people are dressed from like this to suits to shorts, and that's a coastal thing. Yeah. But it's interesting to see just the way everybody kind of is welcome, and nobody comes in and feels like they're in the wrong place, which I think is hard to pull off. It sounds easy, but I think it's a hard thing to pull off. And then we have our Heritage Hall of Fame. We do that induction in October, so it's anyone can nominate their family member or themselves. We do boat captains, people who might have owned a business that was related to the seafood industry, somebody who was just a worker in the seafood industry, boats, there's a list of things there on the website, but we do that every year in October, and that's another big one that's free to the public. You can come and enjoy that. And then our New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. The biggest one in the summertime.
Well, summer. That's we're getting ready for that now.
Yeah. You're planning already.
Yes, we're planning it already. Sign-ups went up this week for our Sea and Sail Adventure Summer Camp.
That's the one I wanted to hear.
It is something. So last year was my first year really dealing with the summer camp.
Yeah.
Coming from Walter Anderson, the Art Museum, where we have 50 kids all summer doing art activities, great art activities, by the way. So if you're interested in that, they're great. But to 400 kids.
I didn't know the number. I didn't know the number. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It is intense. So I think I lost 25 pounds over the summer this year.
Chasing them around.
Chasing kids around, being in the sun. But they get to do so much. It really is a bargain. It's $225 for the week, and that's 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock every day.
Yep.
And we go to the island. We go fishing. We go, of course, swimming a couple times. They get to go to Lynn Meadows. We go to the Science IMMS up in Gulfport. We do art activities. Of course, we do teach them some history. That's a big part of it. But they just do so much. It's amazing.
I can attest to this one. My son's been at least 2 years. I don't know if it was 3 years or not, but I know the past 2 years he's been. And him and all his little buddies go, and they really enjoy it. Another friend of mine's, his daughter goes, and it's just a good time. It's really fun. And parents, if you're listening, $250 to entertain your kid for a week in the middle of the summertime, it's worth triple that to keep these kids entertained, during the summer.
It's only $225 now. He's trying to get $25 out of y'all.
Well, 25 of that goes to the podcast for mentioning it. So $225, it's even a better deal. But yeah, so definitely check that out. And where are y'all at on the internet? People want to come find you. What's the best spot?
All right. So, of course, we're on Facebook. You can just look up the Maritime and Seafood Industry Museum on there. We're on Instagram at MSIM, I believe is the handle there.
Okay.
And then, of course, our website where you can sign up for summer camp. You can see the dates on these art openings. You can register your boat for the boat show. You can nominate your friends for the Hall of Fame. All that. And that's just maritimemuseum.org.
Okay. And if people want to come check out the museum, just show up, man, and go in there and buy a ticket, right? What are the hours?
So we're open from 9 o'clock every morning till 4:30 every day.
Okay.
We're closed on Sundays this time of year, but in March we open back up on Sundays.
Okay.
And it's just $10. We do discounts for AAA, military, and seniors. Students are only $6.
Very affordable.
It's a great deal. You can easily waste 2-3 hours in there if you really want to get in there and dig in. So, I'll always suggest tourists go to all these spots we have. We're so lucky here to have this mix of cultural things that we do. Just take it from the Ore to the Mary Sea. That's like 4 miles from each other.
Right.
And so you have us, the Ore, the Walter Anderson Museum, and the Mary Sea all right there. That's 2 days worth of culture.
Yeah.
I don't know a place with, between us and Ocean Springs, there's less than 70,000 people. I don't know another place that you can say that exists.
Yeah. And I've mentioned it here before too. Down here on the coast is a very diverse group of people. Our culture down here is different. I mean, go just even like to Hattiesburg, and it's completely different than it is down here. And they make fun of us for it too. But,
it's odd how the rest of the state makes fun of us.
They do.
And we talk about that at the museum. Another little
really is there a coast trash
because we just talk about how we came across the diversity. So all the immigrants are mostly people that were coastal.
Yeah,
think about the Croatians, the Spanish,
the
French, the Vietnamese. They all came because they were fishing, and if they were going to come here, they could do that here. And speaking of the Vietnamese,
you mentioned
we are hard at work on an exhibition featuring the effects of the Vietnamese community on our culture here in Biloxi, from how they got here and why they got here to the way they have affected the way we fish. They did completely different methods.
Yeah,
the way they do the chopstick method on the boats, and even they would fish north to south, or south to north, and we go east to west, or west to east. So that was a cultural thing. The food, I love whenever tourists come in, you're like, what should we eat? And I was like, we do 2 things really well. If you want seafood or you want Vietnamese food, you're in the right place. Otherwise, I don't know what to tell you, but we do those things wonderfully.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of it. so that a part of their influence, and it's something that hasn't been talked about a whole bunch.
Yeah,
you know. So I try to include in our tours, but we're actually going to have some information, some pictures. So I've been reaching out to a lot of people to get help on that, which hasn't been the easiest information to find, but you know, the more you dig into it, the more it starts to come. So we'll have some great events around that. I know we're gonna have partnering with Southern Miss and the city, I believe, and the what's it called? The SOS Boat People SOS.
Okay.
They're actually right around the corner from here. They're advocates for the community.
Okay.
And we're doing. They're gonna release a cookbook, have some photographs by the students, and do some other things there on May 7th at the museum. And again, that's open to the public. Preservation in May. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. Something the city does.
Okay.
And that's going to be a part of it this year. So exciting to get that, you know, out there and a part of what we do too.
That's awesome. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. A lot to check out.
A lot to check out. Yeah.
I know one other thing that we mentioned we wanted to talk about before we wrap things up is the art project going on around here in the city. Didn't you say you want to talk about that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What if people may have noticed, if you're riding around, you know, driving around downtown Biloxi, and you look around and you see these big, beautiful murals painted on buildings and stuff. There's a story behind that. Am I correct?
There is. I mean, there's a story behind everything, right?
Well, it's also true too.
So this is all a part of the Biloxi Public Art Project, and we're doing this through Biloxi Main Street, which is, you know, an organization that exists down here in downtown, with the main goal to promote and build downtown. And so this is a project to help us accomplish that. So I think it's been about 2 years I've been working on this, or more now at this point. I guess almost 3 years. But just at a meeting, and one day I mentioned, hey, let's put some art up downtown. You know,
that was your brainchild?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
We had
kudos to you, because that was a great idea.
$0 to do it with.
Even better.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes it easy.
Yeah.
You know, no money.
Right.
No,
that's not going to cause anything. Sure, you can do it.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
No clue if anybody would accept it or let us put it on their walls. You know, no walls, no artists. We had nothing. Just the idea. But I had been to, we went to Tulum for a family vacation, and I love public art. You know, it's always been something I've been interested in, and they just have art everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it is everywhere. So I got to researching a little bit, like how they pull this off. And it turns out that it was a part of propaganda after a revolution, I want to say. But at any rate, they put all this art out to spread a message, you know, to talk to the community in a way that, you know, everybody sees it, and they did it in a very obvious way. Diego Rivera, I believe, was one of the main guys.
Okay.
You might know him from Frida Kahlo, is her husband. But he was one of the main influences on that. And so I read a little bit, and turns out that project influences our WPA project, which was done by FDR to get people back to work after the Depression. Okay. And one of the segments of that was art. So they hired muralists and different people to create artwork and pay them for it.
Right.
So Walter Anderson was a part of that. So if you go to the museum, we have those huge murals hanging in the hallways. That was a part of the WPA project. Okay. So like I'm digging into it, and there's all these connections.
Right. It's making way too much sense. Huh? Right. Something's going on here.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, what a coincidence. Yeah. You know, I go to Mexico for a week, and look what I've learned. And so kind of based it on that idea. So we want to put ours to work, and we want to tell a story. And the story here is just Biloxi history. So the first one actually that was complete was at the Maritime Museum of Camille, because we happen to be doing Camille. Yes. And it just kind of matched. So we put up the hurricane itself with that sign that was just very popular through the hurricane and the resurgence afterwards.
Where's it painted at?
So it is painted on, there's like an electrical house.
That's what I thought. I want to make sure I was remembering that right. What I liked about it, and I've seen this done in a couple other places too, it takes a functional, it's like I think it elevates some of your electrical stuff so that it's floodwater safe. Yes. Gotta have it, right? But it may not be the best looking thing. Yeah. You know, it's industrial, it's a utilitarian kind of thing. And now y'all have jazzed it up to where it's a piece of art, man. I think that's awesome.
Exactly. And again, Robin was, you know, I was having to be talking about the project. She was like, you know what, this thing is real ugly. Can you do something about that?
Can you fix it? Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we can. Perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's very visible.
It is very visible. Yes. And it makes people look over there. Hopefully. It's
right.
So
it does.
colorful.
No, it definitely does.
So that was the first one. And then the next one was just right down the street there, the Casquette Girls on Thomas and Howard.
Yes.
And that story, they were orphan girls that were sent over from France to, hopefully make a way for themselves in America. And they ended up having a huge influence on like schools and libraries and things like that along the coast. They started in New Orleans and then moved over here. And then there's the one under I-110 that is kind of the artist never wanted me to tell what it was about, but and he wants to remain anonymous. But it's kind of a story, a Biloxi story. So you see the Golden Fisherman in there. If you go look at it, you see the Biloxi tour train, the original one. You see the patio that was at Mary Mahoney's before it got blown away. And just all these little pieces of Biloxi history. And then, of course, he ended up capping it off with that little tribute to Officer McKeithen.
Yeah.
So each one of them will just talk about a particular piece of Biloxi history. And hopefully people question, because, they're not obvious.
Right.
It's not all sailboats and lighthouses.
That's right.
Which we're going to have some of that.
Yeah.
But it's stuff that you might not know about, and that's on purpose. So you look at it and you're like, oh, what is that? Why would they do that?
It's funny you say that. The one on Thomas and Howard, that was where our old studio was over at the Kraken building. And I remember like pulling up one day and seeing it. I'm like, what is this? Like, I didn't know if somebody like graffitied, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's very intricate if they did that. And then I didn't know the story until you just now actually mentioned it. I didn't know what, the meaning behind it. So it's great. And it looks beautiful. All of them. All the ones I've seen are amazing.
So far, so good. We've been lucky with the quality of work. Of course, we're kind of handpicking folks, but I talked about we didn't have $1 when we started it. I literally started asking people at parties, like, hey, do you have $100 you might want to give me for some art?
Really?
Literally, that's how we started
to donate.
To donate the money.
Okay.
So the first one, I ended up just buying the paint, giving it to the artist, and he did that one under I-110. Then we got a donation from Hard Rock Casino. Then Walmart gave us some money, and then it just kind of took off. I'd get calls or emails from people that saw one. It's like, hey, how can I support this?
Really?
And then, of course, we ended up getting the big check from Knight's nonprofit here recently. So we've raised about $30,000.
Wow.
Just, pressing flash and begging, basically. And now people are coming to us. I've managed to spend it all. And I'll tell you on what.
Good job.
Yeah,
good job.
Yeah. So I'll tell you where he's going. So we put out an RFP in November to do an installation just about a block that way in that empty field there where upstairs downstairs used to be.
Yeah.
So we're going to do an interactive sculpture.
Okay.
So it's going to be, I can't tell you what it's going to be yet. We just picked it a couple of days ago.
Nice.
But you will be able to not only look at it, but actually interact with it, and it'll make sound and light as you play with it. And then there's going to be another little auxiliary piece with that. So that's a big chunk of it. We're doing, if you drive down Howard, you've seen the big white wall there attached to the brick. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be our mural. That's going to be the postcard greetings from Biloxi one, the obligatory. Got to do that.
Okay. And
then we're going to do 2 more just right down the street here. One based on Prohibition, which has been, a big one. Everybody kind of wanted that one from the beginning.
Really?
And then hopefully one on the legal gambling. So some interesting Biloxi history.
I got some photos I could share with y'all for that.
Yeah.
My family was a little bit involved in some of that.
That's right.
How did you get the artists? Was it just people that you knew from being in the community and being in the art, music and all of that, or did people start reaching out? How did that kind of work?
So a couple of them are people I know, but it's funny because I thought, I know all these artists. I'll just reach out to them. We'll get this done. But it ended up, I think, the first 3, 4, I didn't know the people. People that reached out to me and wanted to be a part of it. So of course, I check out their work, see what they're doing, and then we went. And then, of course, some of the people that have participated in the shows I put on in the past have done them. Mm-hmm. And I'm wanting to allow them to do 2. If they do one, I want them to do 2.
Are they trying to be anonymous, or are they telling?
Only one wanted to be anonymous. Everybody else is, they're signing it. And then we have a website where you can go look at them. If you just go to the mainstreet.com, on the very front page is a big public art link. And so we'll list them on there and tell a little bit about the piece and why it's there. And so we're doing it in 5. So right now there's 5 up on there. There's 9 murals up. So 1 more done, then we'll do another upload to the page.
Okay.
Because you got some stuff that you got to take pictures and do the work. So
right.
We want to do it in chunks. But the goal is to get 20 up by the end of this year. And that changed big time because when we started, it was like, hopefully we can get 1 up this year and raise like $1,000. But that obviously accelerated. So here we are.
Are people donating? How are you going about getting the placement, like the walls, the actual walls? Are people donating that? Some of them are city, some of them are business owned.
So it's all business owned right now.
Okay.
So people are kind of coming to me at this point.
Yeah, it's a great thing. I mean, why would you not want it,
Yeah,
really?
and really, the city has been amazingly supportive. You know, we have to go in through front of the HRC before we do every one of them, and it's literally they have had a few tweaks here and there, but very minor. It's been all support. You know, when you post a picture of it, you expect, you know, it's the internet.
Right,
Expect some negativity.
Right.
But
Oh, well.
there really hasn't been any.
Haters going to hate.
Even a citizen showed up to the very first hearing just to say, when are y'all going to do more? Like, I was blown away because, you know, the guy's sitting there, and, you know, you have to go up and do your thing, and he's going to come up and give his rebuttal. And his rebuttal was like, yeah, I love the idea. So how can, like, when are more going to go up? And I was like, what's going on right now?
Yeah, forum like that, right?
So it's just been great to have something like, you know, come from your head and all of a sudden it's out there.
Yeah, it's a real thing. That's awesome. So you're putting your mark on downtown Biloxi, man. That's great. I love it. I think we've covered the bases on this one, haven't we?
I think so. That's a lot of info.
That's a lot of info we nailed, Joe. Go back and listen to this one again so you can make sure you caught everything.
Right. I do want to add, though, a couple things. We didn't hit on the schooners for the Maritime Museum. We do own 2 schooners that are there at the Schooner Pier Complex on Highway 90. So it's basically right across the street from the Ore. You see the 2 huge boats with the Biloxi logo on the sails.
Yes. The museum owns those?
So we own those.
How long was that
pier? So
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that was
I
y'all.
believe the first one was built in, and I'm going to get this wrong, I'm sure, but I think it was 1994. The first one was launched.
You're talking about the boat?
The boats, yeah.
Oh, so they were built for y'all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ours, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
They're replicas of, you know, schooners that
Right.
That the schooner was the workhorse of the industry.
Yes.
You know, for a long time.
It was before
before motors before
were out there.
luggers.
Yeah, man.
And so you can charter those. You can go out. We do sales on them several times a week, even through the winter. There's one tomorrow at 2:00. Well, this won't be out tomorrow, but
no.
But so you can go out and check that out. It's $30 to go on there, or like I said, you can charge it yourself. And then, of course, memberships are huge to museums. So check out our website. We have some great deals. For $100, your whole family's a member, and that gets you into museums all over the country. So we're part of a reciprocal association.
Okay.
So when you buy our membership for $100, you can. There's 900 museums that are part of it.
Damn,
around
that's
the
a
country.
sweet deal.
Yeah, I use mine often. So it's just a great way. If you're into that thing, it's art museums, history museums.
Yeah.
Several in New Orleans are part of it. I know the Ogden is. I've used it all over, though. And I've used it in Austin and just all over the place. And the Ore, you can get into that, and Wham, and just all over the coast.
I just spent
great.
some time in the World War II over in New Orleans Museum and loved it. So
I think that's the busiest museum in the world.
Really?
I think so.
Wow.
One of the top 2 or 3. Yeah.
It was amazing. Like I spent 8 hours in there.
Yeah.
You know,
crazy.
It could have went longer, but they were closing. So it's a good time. I used to work at the Bow, and I would see this schooner go by all the time on that back catwalk there they have for employees, and I would just stand there and watch it. It's a beautiful,
yeah.
sight to see that thing going through.
And it's a fun and unique experience. You know, it's just 2.5 hour sail. So you go out there, you can bring whatever you want with you. We have coolers. They're just going to kind of go hang out and enjoy the Gulf, and hopefully there's a little wind so you can move, but not too much so you don't tip. You know,
exactly. You don't want to chop out there and all of that. But well, man, thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks everybody for listening. Be sure to go check them out. That's the Maritime and Seafood Industry Museum. They have a website. They're on Facebook. They're tagged in this video you're watching right now. So just click the link and go check them out, man. Take the family out and enjoy a nice evening and learn a little bit of Biloxi history. Corey, thanks so much for coming, man.
Thanks for having us, man.